So a lot of people really struggle with making decisions or making commitments. And in fact, it's just true. Some people are going to always be much harder to close than others, even when you built trust. Just some people have a different approach to how they make decisions, and some people just have negative reaction when you ask them to make a decision. You have to expect negative reactions. You have to practice them and prepare with them, and you always have to know the next steps when you get a negative reaction. Not everybody is going to close the way you want them to close. Some people are going to be much more difficult. A weak or average salesperson can close the easy ones because those people are willing to make a decision. But what you have to learn to really move up is you have to learn to close the tough ones. So every human being has a natural fear or a hesitation about making a bad decision. And in the environment that we have in this world where salespeople are seen as untrustworthy, your customer's guard is always up. Always. Then you always know that, right? So when it comes time for the close, when it comes time to make a decision, you're going to hear objections, not because they're real objections, but because the customer's guard is up. They're just nervous about making a mistake. So you have to train yourself to expect these negative reactions. And this is really important. It's okay for them to have their guard up. It's okay for them to have their fears and their false assumptions about moving forward. It's okay for them to have a negative attitude. It's okay if they don't see things the same way that you see them. That as soon as you say, wait a minute, it's okay that you're nervous about, as soon as you say, hey, it's okay, not a problem, and you mean it, because sometimes you might say it's not a problem, but you're actually internally upset with them for not moving forward, but it's okay. When I hear people hesitate toward the end, not a problem, it's okay. It really is. We'll work through it. So I want to analyze with you how people make decisions. I want to show you what's actually going on in their minds, because once you understand how people come to make a decision from a mind point of view, from a psychology point of view, then it's really easy to see where the objections are coming from and how you can help them overcome their fears and limitations. So at the moment we make a decision, no matter what the decision is, we are, as human beings, we imagine what the future is going to be like once we make that decision. We can't predict the future, but we trick ourselves into imagining that we can predict the future. And here's what I mean. It's like, if you picture the world out there, the future, it's like billions of dominoes. You know, anything could happen. Any one of the dominoes could tip and a whole sequence could go off. What happens is when you make a decision, or when your customer's making a decision, they're imagining one path through those infinite number of dominoes. They say, okay, I'm going to make this decision, then that's going to happen, then that's going to happen, then that's going to happen. And in the future, they see the resolution of those dominoes, right? And they make the decision based on what the future looks like or feels like to them. If the dominoes lead to a happy future, that's when they buy. If the dominoes lead to a negative future, they don't buy from you. But most commonly what happens is the future for them is cloudy. They're not seeing it. They're certainly not seeing the same thing you're seeing. They're not seeing good or bad. They just don't see how it all connects and what the future is going to be like. And so those folks also don't buy. So like, for example, the example I use is like when parents decide to get a puppy for their kids. They have this imaginary future in their minds about a happy home with the kids playing with the dog. They see a picture where everybody's happy because the children are happy. And so they buy the puppy, right? Little do they know the dominoes are not going to go exactly like they thought. Puppy's going to chew the furniture. All kinds of things happen. But it's a puppy, so it's okay. This is how your customers are making a decision. The most common objection or excuse that people use to avoid buying is the universal fear of spending money. It's the easiest objection for your customers to hide behind, and they hide behind it all the time. I can't spend money right now, right? I don't have the budget for that. I really can't afford that. That's much more than I wanted to spend, right? They are in a negative mindset. It's dominated by lack, meaning I don't have enough money and I'm never going to have enough money. And what's going on in their mind is they have a string of dominoes. The first one shows them spending this money with you, which leads to more lack in the future. And their dominoes just a disaster. I'm going to spend this money, then I'm going to have less and less and less. Then I'm going to have to do this. And I can't do that. I don't have enough money. So most people that you're selling to are stuck in this mindset of lack. It's just the way 90% of people go around in the world. You have to show them a future that's more valuable than money, because they're focusing on the disappearing money. You need to focus them on the dominoes, all the things that are going to happen, the bright future that's ahead of them. So if the picture is cloudy, or they see more problems, or they see a potential disaster from buying your thing, they're not going to buy. They aren't sold. And this is where all the resistance and the negativity and the objections come from. It's not you. It's that they're not seeing what you want them to see. They're not on your wavelength. They're still on their own wavelength. And if that wavelength is negative or cloudy, they're not going to buy. So your job is to build the perfect series of dominoes and show them how it leads to the future. So then there's another type of customers, and I call them the super resistant. The super resistant customers have the money, but because of their personal style, they don't allow people to help them. So they have to be in control, and they have to feel like, they're going to decide. I call these are super resistant people. They know that the solution that you're offering them, whatever, if they do it, isn't going to be in their best interest, but they're more focused on the people and the personalities and the process rather than the end result. It's hard for them to talk about the end result because they can't get past the process. So to defend themselves, these people will push you over to an assistant. Talk to my assistant. Talk to this person. They know everything. Or they'll string you along and not make a decision. Or they want to decide they're going to do it themselves because they know more than you and they can do it better than you. Or they're going to find a better alternative or make a better choice. They deflect the idea of making a decision. This is really important to understand. When it comes to that final key, that word commitment, people deflect the idea of making a decision to avoid talking about the problem. They focus on the ego or the status or the decision process or how it's going to affect other people. And what they're really doing is they're deflecting opportunities to fix the problem. And if you would go back in history, you would find that they've had this problem multiple times. They probably talked to multiple salespeople who could have solved the problem, but the problem hasn't gone away because they're so super resistant. These are the ones you really want to train for. If it's easier, that's great. But you want to train for the most difficult customers. First of all, there's the ones who are in lack, who just say out of habit, I can't afford it, I don't have the money, right? We'll show you how to work with them. But more important is you want to train for the ones that do have the money, but still give you the runaround because they have to dominate the whole show. So for these super resistant customers, you want to explain to them that they're deflecting. Right? You have to explain to them, I understand you want me to talk, I talked to your assistant. Now I'm back to you. You're deflecting the problem to somebody else. And the way to work with them is to continue the strategy of listening. Just listen, empty yourself, empathize with them, and let them continue to express all their problems until they finally are able to let go of their own fears. Can you close every super resistant person? Absolutely not. Some of them absolutely will never allow you to close them. That's their decision, right? But many of them, if you listen to them, respect them, honor all the problems that they're having, yeah, that's got to be a tough, you've been burned so many times in the past. I understand. You don't really know who you can, I get it. Tell me more about that. Let them go on. Let them go on. And now, once they've expressed all that negativity, you can take another shot at closing them.